All right, today we are jumping headfirst into one of the most powerful and maybe misunderstood verses in the entire book of Revelation. We're talking about Revelation 14, verse 1. It's just a single sentence, but wow, is it packed with incredible ideas about victory, about identity, and about a kingdom that might be way more present, way more now than you've ever thought. Let's get right into it.
So here it is. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. I mean, what an image, right? You've got a lamb, a mountain, this huge crowd, and this detail about a name written on their foreheads. And you have to remember where this pops up. It comes right after all the dark, intense imagery of the beast and his mark in chapter 13. So it's this sudden, brilliant flash of contrast and hope. But the big question is, what on earth does it all mean?
Is this just some cryptic vision of the far-off future? You know, an event we're all still waiting for? Or could it be something else entirely? Could John be showing us a reality that's true right now? Well, to really crack this open, we can't just stick with the English translation. We've got to go back to the source, to the original Greek, because there are some major clues hidden in the language itself.
Okay, so let's talk about decoding the original language. See, the Greek text is where the real, vibrant texture of this vision just comes alive. There are a couple of words in particular that were chosen so specifically, and believe me, they can completely flip our understanding of what's happening on this mountain.
Let's start with the lamb. The Greek word used here is arnion. Now, this isn't just the standard word for a lamb. It's actually a diminutive form, which means something like little lamb. It's a term of endearment, almost. And this specific word choice, used all throughout Revelation, consistently points to Christ not as some powerful, conquering lion, but specifically as the sacrifice, the one who was slain. The whole idea is that his power flows directly from that sacrifice.
Okay, this next one is a game changer. Look at the word stood. In Greek, it's hestos, and it's in what's called the perfect tense. Now, don't worry, this isn't a grammar lesson, but this detail is absolutely crucial. The perfect tense means it's not just that the lamb was standing there. No. It means the lamb took a stand at some point in the past, and because of that past action, he is now standing in a permanent, ongoing state of victory. The fight is over, the action is finished, and the result, the victory, is here to stay.
So let's put those two puzzle pieces together. We've got arnion, the little sacrificial lamb, and histos, the permanent stand of victory. What does that tell us? Well, it reveals something absolutely profound about where the lamb's authority comes from and how his power really works.
Here's the bottom line. The lamb is standing in this permanent, unshakable victory precisely because he was the sacrifice. See, his authority isn't based on brute force or military might. It's based entirely on his finished work on the cross. That's the mind-bending part. The little slain lamb, the arnion, is now the enthroned king, and that victory, it's irreversible.
And you know, this isn't some new idea that just pops up here in chapter 14. If you look back to Revelation chapter 5, John sees the exact same paradox. He sees a lamb as it had been slain. You can still see the wounds, but this same lamb has 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are these classic symbols of perfect power and perfect knowledge. It's this incredible picture that just hammers home the central theme. In this kingdom, true power flows directly from sacrifice.
Okay, so we've got our victorious lamb. We understand where his power comes from. But where is he? The text says he's standing on Mount Zion. So are we talking about the physical hill in Jerusalem that you could go visit today? Or could this mountain symbolize something much, much bigger?
So really, there are 2 main ways to interpret this. On one hand, you have the literal interpretation, that this is a future event happening on a very specific spot on a map. But then you have the symbolic view, and this one has a lot of backup from other parts of the Bible. This view says Mount Zion isn't a place, but a people. It's a spiritual kingdom, the church, the heavenly Jerusalem.
And this isn't just speculation. The author of the book of Hebrews pretty much spells it out for us. He tells believers, and listen to the tense here, you have come, past tense, to Mount Zion. And then he immediately defines what that means. It's the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and the church of the firstborn. So according to Hebrews, Mount Zion isn't a future destination, it's a spiritual reality that believers are already a part of, right now.
And this idea has deep, deep roots. It's woven all through the Old Testament prophets.
Think about Isaiah or Daniel. They both describe God's kingdom as this great mountain that's established above all the other mountains, meaning all the other earthly kingdoms. It's a powerful symbol of its spiritual superiority and its unshakable authority. It's not just another kingdom on the block, it's the kingdom that will outlast them all. All right, let's shift our focus to the crowd that's standing there with the lamb. We have this really specific number, 144,000. And then there's this fascinating detail about a name written on their foreheads. So what's that all about? What does this seal actually signify?
144,000. Wow. I mean, this number has sparked just endless debate and speculation, right? Is this a literal head count? Are we talking about a very specific, limited group of people who make the cut?
Well, the answer is almost certainly no. This number is symbolic. Think about it. In the Bible, the number 12 is consistently used to represent the people of God, the 12 tribes, the 12 apostles. So what's 12 times 12? 144. And then you multiply that by 1,000, which in biblical language often just means a huge, complete number. So this isn't about a limited, exclusive club. It's a beautiful, symbolic picture of the entire, complete body of God's redeemed people from all of history.
And the name on their foreheads? What a powerful image. This is the ultimate mark of identity. Think about it. To have the Father's name written on you signifies ownership, protection, belonging. But more than that, it speaks of this incredibly intimate union. It's a spiritual seal that says, without a doubt, this one is mine. And this is where that contrast I mentioned earlier becomes so sharp. Remember, in the previous chapter, the followers of the beast get a mark on their hand or forehead. It's a mark of economic allegiance to a worldly system. But here, the followers of the Lamb get the Father's name, a mark of intimate union and identity. It's a total showdown, isn't it? A clash between two kingdoms, two radically different identities, and two completely opposite sources of authority.
Okay, let's step back and pull all of these threads together. We've talked about the sacrificial lamb, his permanent stance of victory, the spiritual mountain, and this vast sealed community. So what's the big picture? What is this vision really trying to show us?
Here's the breakdown. The Lamb's reign is built on his sacrifice. Mount Zion isn't a future place. It's his spiritual kingdom, the church, which exists right now. The 144,000 isn't a literal number, but all of his redeemed people. And the Father's name is their seal, their true identity. When you put all of that together, the conclusion is pretty stunning. This vision, it's not really about a far-off future event. It's a revelation of a deep, spiritual reality that is true today.
So the main takeaway is this. This vision isn't a scene that believers are hoping to join someday in the future. It's actually a depiction of their current spiritual position. It's a vision of Jesus, the Lamb who is slain, standing in permanent victory, right in the center of his spiritual kingdom, the church. And he's surrounded by every single person who is sealed with his Father's name.
And that, of course, leaves us with a pretty challenging question to think about, doesn't it? If this vision of victory, of belonging, of identity, isn't just something for the future, if it's a description of a reality for the here and now, then what does it actually mean to live like that? What does it look like to walk through our day-to-day lives as people who are sealed with the Father's name? Honestly, when you think about it that way, it kind of changes everything.